Hello everybody. Welcome back to another session on Python programming. We're discussing concept of functions. But before we start with the next topic, last time we had stopped at one assignment. Can you all quickly share the solution so that we can discuss the assignment that we're working on? Yes, come on, share. Has anybody worked on the assignment? Quick feedback, yes or no, so that we can decide whether to discuss or should we move on to the next topic. Yes, others, Harsh, Rahul, Shatanu, Viraj, have you worked on that assignment?
No, sir.
Viraj and Harsh, reaction though? Yes, no, kuch to bolo.
No, sir.
Sir, we had discussed, but the writing was pending.
No, pending है, हुआ है या नहीं हुआ? That's how simple it is.
No, sir.
Ashish, you have the code.
Yes, sir.
Share it quickly.
Yes.
I think there are two assignments.
Yes, sir.
One, sir.
There were two of them, I think.
Yes, there were two.
So one of them was get top 3 instances. So let's get top 3 scores. So that was one of the assignments. Let's see what has he done. So let's discuss the solution that he has implemented. So he has a method called as get top 3 scores. The name is correct. It takes in variable number of parameters, arguments, that's correct. And these are not keyword arguments. These are positional variable number of arguments. They are all of type float, okay? And he's going to return a tuple. That's also okay. For item in scores, if not instance item float type, so he's checking for all the items, are they of type float? If any of the item is not of type float, it will raise an error. So this was about validation, nothing to do with the logic, but about the validation. If not scores, that means if you don't pass anything, if it is null, then return none. Okay, that's also good. 2 validations have been done. But let's look at the logic that has been used to implement it. So this is the logic validation, where this is the logic. So for the logic, what he does is he takes an empty set, empty tuple. And for I in the range 3. Now, when I say I in the range 3, that means he plans to go through the first 3 scores. I in the range 3. Why 3, Ashish?
Sir, 3 times run करना था मुझे.
Okay. Score is equal to tuple of scores. So he converts the score into tuple. And it is by default tuple. Scores is by default tuple. Arbitrary number of arguments are always tuple. So this was totally unnecessary because they are by default tuples only. So converting
Sir, sir, वो loop के नीचे ना list में हो रहा है convert third line पे, line number 11. तो उसको वापस tuple करने के लिए.
तो अच्छा स्कोर को ही tuple कर दे, आप लिस्ट करें दोबारा.
Yes.
Okay, देखते हैं. So you convert this to a tuple. Result empty tuple plus max of scores, comma. Why comma?
सर वैसे ही ऐड करते हैं टपल में.
तो आप स्कोर में से मैक्सिमम वैल्यू जो है उसे ले रहे हो
और एक एम्प्टी टपल में स्टोर कर
और
रहे हो.
इसमें से एक मैक्सिमम वैल्यू डिलीट कर रहे हो.
यस, स्कोर्स में से मैक्सिमम डिलीट कर.
So suppose if I have 10 scores, first you find the max of 10 and delete the max.
Yes.
and then I find max of the 9 and delete the max.
Yes.
Okay, and likewise you are getting the every time you are appending it. Oh,
Yes.
okay, this is correct, but definitely not anywhere near to the solution that a Python programmer may write. Here, why am I saying so? Because here there are too many operations that you are performing. Scores, which was initially of type float, initially of type tuple, you are converted to tuple. Later you are converting to list, so list is again converted to tuple. So a lot of conversions are happening. Second, you are taking empty tuple, and then you are finding max, appending into that tuple. Then you're deleting element from that tuple or list, whatever it is, because you're anyway converting that sequence. I'll call it a sequence. So from that sequence, you're deleting one element. So you are adding elements, you're deleting elements, you're converting the types. So there's too much of things that are happening. And since I said top 3 scores, you said 3 over here. So that's the reason we'll get the top 3 scores. Okay. Since the method was get top 3 scores, this is good. But if the method was get top scores, you could have passed scores as well as the how many scores you would like to have. So this will work correctly. It looks like. Let's run this particular code to see whether it works correctly before we see the better way to write the same code. So if I go to D drive, I go to temp, and I say Python. The file name is assign2.py. The top 3 scores are 31.33.0, 21.0, 4.01. Okay. If I pass 10, 33, and so on, what would happen? So here, float and integer are compatible types. So you should not be forcing somebody to pass floats only. Float and integer should be of compatible type. We're saying is instance item of type float. You could have very well said float of this item of type float. Agar validation karna hi tha. So let's do with this and see. It works. You are expecting float, but if integer is being passed, integer and float are compatible types. So don't force it only to be a float or integer. So what is the item that has been passed? Say 10, for which it failed earlier. Okay, line number 4 was failing. I converted that item to float and then I'm checking float. Any strings will not get converted to float. It's only compatible types will get converted to float. So that's one thing that I could have done. Second thing is, what if I don't pass anything? There's another question that should come to everybody's mind. So let's see what happens if when we don't pass anything. Does it work? It says top 3 scores are none. That's not right. No? So while you're doing this particular validation, where you say if not score, and I have not passed any score. So if I'm not passing any score, it shouldn't have been saying the top 3 scores are answer. Answer means what we have is none. Okay, you could again raise an exception here. I want to say top 3 scores are none. That's okay, but that will only lead to confusion. But irrespective of this validation, suppose let's talk about this validation that's although important, but this was the logic that has been used. So I'm not very happy with this logic. Only reason why I'm happy is he's the only one who has implemented it. So ideas are there. One should implement those ideas, and only then there can be some improvement. So let's see as to how we can bring about some improvement in this particular solution. So we have a solution with us. We need to have improvement inside the solution. Let me open a file where I have implemented the similar thing, same thing, and we'll think about improvement in the solution, how we can do that. Watch it. I have method called as top 3 scores. This is obviously a tuple. I'm also going to return a tuple list, what you would like to return. I say so sorted. The tuple is being sorted and reverse is true. So I'm going to get the tuple sorted in the reverse order. Once I get a tuple sorted in the reverse order, it returns a list. Sorted method always returns a list. So we have a list. And from this list, I extract the first 3 elements and return. Finished. Why do you have to scan through the entire list to find out which is the smallest or which is the largest? So we sorted the tuple We sorted the tuple in reverse order. We are saying reverse is true. We get the sorted list. And from that list, we return the first 3 elements. That solves our problem. Okay. That's how simple and straightforward this particular assignment was. Let us comment out rest of the code and focus only on the one that we are right now talking. Here we go. So this is the only thing that we're talking. We would like to know the top 3 scores. You can add that validations code inside it later. So among this, which is the top score, and among this, which is the top score. So if I run this particular program, you will get the top 3 scores, 89, 88, 77. 89, 88, 77. I just handle it in a different way. Here I'm doing concept of unpacking. So 3 scores are written, unpacked and assigned to first, second, third. And this first, second, third are being accessed. Or you get a list. And once I get the list, from the list, the 0th element, the first element, the second element is what I'm accessing. Your choice, whether you'd like to access in this fashion or whether you'd like to access in this fashion by using concept of unpacking. But the important point was think Pythonic way. How is done in Python? We have been asked to have the top 3 scores. Whatever you pass is a tuple. So we sort the tuple, but sorted method always returns a list. So and that too reverse is true. So when I say reverse is equal to true, that means I'll have it in descending order and get the first 3 elements from it. Although what Ashish was done is correct, but this reminds me of a C programmer. He would write the code in this fashion, where there is nothing to help him out. That means you are taking, I'll call it over here, you are taking unnecessary responsibility. There are so many places you may have gone wrong. You have done it right, that's okay. But you are increasing the possibilities of error. So write less. So when you write a less code, instead of these many lines, we could finish in 2 lines. Okay, when you write less, what happens is the chances of you going wrong also reduces. Maintenance also becomes easier. And this is so easy to understand. I'm sorting the list in reverse order and I'm returning the top 3 elements on the list. That's how simple it was. So think in different ways. Think Pythonic way when you plan to sort the, when you plan to get the work done. You're learning Python, so we need to have the code also in Pythonic way. I'm just sharing both the examples with you. What are the other question that was given?
Sir, I've shared.
Question क्या था?
Sir, take on a function which takes variable number of arguments and returns minimum and maximum value.
Returns minimum and maximum values. Okay. What you have done over here is almost right. But then this is validation. So I'll not worry about this. I'll talk only about this. So why write 3 lines over here? Why write 3 lines? Why couldn't you have said return min of number and max of number directly? Why create a variable, find the value, assign to variable, return the variable? Why? Can we not do it directly? Okay. So how could we have done directly? Okay, but this looks right because min and max is what you have to return from the number of elements that has been passed, min max. How have I written this function? I'm saying return max of number and min of number, matter close. Why assign it to the variable? Just return it. Just return it. Max of number and min of number. That's good enough. So it was just 1 line function that you were supposed to write. And here also it was almost 1 line or 2 line function. I can make it 1 line. Huh? So if I had to write this as 1 line code, I could have done it. If I'm a serious Python developer, I would not make it 2 lines. Now, I remember somebody saying every function should only be like tomorrow when we learn functional programming. I said function should be as small as possible. Huh? But in functional programming, you will not believe me. In functional programming that we learn later, a size of the function has to be single line. So any work that you do, it says get it done in 1 line, 1 statement, and work should be done. So the world is going towards that, and Python is enabling us to get that work done. So if you really wanted to finish it in 1 line, you could very well do that. I could have just said, instead of all this thing, I could just say return. Nothing more. Just 1 line code. That's Pythonic way of doing the things. And if I run these 2 functions once again, they should still work correctly and give the same answer. So, provided you understand, we have a sorted list and we retain the top 3 elements from the list. Okay. I would not even write 0. If I just say 3, that should also work. Let me say this, run this, that's also working. Write as less as possible. So the assignment that was given was only one line assignment. See, one line or one line, nothing more than that. What he had done with validation, that will definitely take up 3 lines. So what you could add to this at the most is the validation code that takes about 3-4 lines, whatever it is. But the logic was expressed only in single line. This was the logic. The rest is all validation. And he has beautifully done the validation. So complete marks for doing the validation, right? Okay. And you do not return none. Or since you are capturing over here as something, you're saying return none. Okay. So you are expecting it should always return 2 values. So here you are not written, here you are failing, correct? So I use either of the 2 techniques. Either you raise errors or return some values. Don't use both. So either raise errors at both the places. Here also you should raise error and here also you should raise an error. Or otherwise, return from here none again, like what you have done. Error none. So why do you want to stop the program if it is not integer? And if it is not number, if it is empty, then you are returning none. And if it is not integer, you are generating error. And if it is empty, then also you can generate an error. So either you have raised error at both the places or return none at both the places. So that is improvement that I would suggest. Okay. So you could say int is not passed to function min max, whatever it is. You can just change the message. Be consistent. Yani ye problem ho gaya, I'm going to stop. And ye problem ho gaya, I'm going to return. Now, any problem occurs, either you stop or you return. Do the same thing at both the places. And then you could return min max and so on. So that was about those 2 assignments. I hope all of you understood it. किसी को कोई डाउट है क्या? क्विक फीडबैक. राहुल क्या डाउट है? हर्ष क्या डाउट है? Okay, I am also sharing the example that we just now discussed. So I shared with all of you the 2 ones that Ashish has solved and the one that we discussed in the classroom, the one that I have already solved. So all those 3 have been discussed with you. If anybody has any question, please ask. Okay. Now hearing no questions, let's start with topic for today's discussion. So we have completed with what function returns. What do you mean by returning a function? So what's the next topic for our discussion? So let's first identify the topic for discussion. Today, we're going to talk about the scopes of variable. A very important concept called as scope. Now, when I use the word scope, what do you mean? So not the career scope or something. It's about if I define some variable or if I define some function, if I define some method, which all places in the program can we see it? See it means from where you can access it. So it defines the lifetime of an element in the program. To be more precise, scope is related to variables and scope is related to functions, both the places. So currently we are going to focus on scope of variables. So there are different scope of variables and 2 major kind of scopes that we come across is one is a local variable and another is a global variable. So let's try and understand what these scopes are and what role do they play while we go ahead defining variables that are to be used in our application or a module. So first we'll talk about local scope or the local variables. When you declare a variable inside a function definition, they are not related in any way to variables outside with the same names used outside the function. That is, variables are local to the function. That means if I define a variable inside a function, I'm restricting its visibility to the body of the function itself. So that variable will not be available outside that function. So any variable which has been defined inside the function has a scope to the body of the function itself. It is created when we enter the function, it is destroyed when we go out of the function, you can say, or it is visible or accessible only inside the body of the function. So normally any variable that we define inside a function will be available to the body of the function. It will not be accessible outside the function. So we say its visibility is or scope is local to the function. It's accessible only to the function. So scope, this is also called as scope of a variable. All variables have scope of block. They are declared in starting from the point of definition of the name. So if I have a 10 lines code and I define a variable on the 4th line in a code block. So from the 4th line onwards till the end of the code block, that's the scope of that particular variable. So from the point where it has been defined till the end of the block in which it has been defined. So that's the scope. That means that's the only area where that variable is accessible or visible. So that will define the visibility or accessibility of the variable. Local variables are created each time the function is called and they're erased when the function returns. So moment you enter inside that code block or a function, that variable will get created, and moment you go out of that code block, the variable will get destroyed. So its lifetime is limited to the body of the function. So there are two important things. One is lifetime, another is scope. Scope talks about visibility. Where can I access that variable? And lifetime talks about how long will it be retained in the memory. So two important things, lifetime and scope. Lifetime talks about how long will it be retained in the memory. Kab tak zinda rahega memory mein. And scope talks about which part of the program can we go ahead accessing that particular variable, visibility of the variable. That is what it is. Whereas Rahul, why aren't you turning your camera on? Viraj? Because they exist when the function is being executed, they can't be used outside the function. So their lifetime and visibility is local to the function. Lifetime and visibility both. Lifetime is how long it is retained in the memory, and visibility is which places of the program can you access it. So its lifetime and visibility both are limited to the function in which it has been defined. This means that trying to access local variables from outside the function is an error. So let's look at concept of local variable with the help of an example, and then we'll go ahead with global variable. Let me first take an example of local variable and then we'll talk about the next. Here we go. I have a function called as greet. Inside this function greet, we have a variable called as name, to which we are assigning whatever name the user enters. We're going to greet that fellow by saying welcome name inside greet, and then we're going to return. The point that you need to understand is how long this particular variable name can be accessed, or which all places can you access that particular variable name. So I give a call to this particular greet function 3 times. The first time when I give a call to this greet function, let's see what happens. So when I give a call to this greet function, control will be transferred to the place in the program where the function greet has been defined. Okay, so let's see. Let's debug from line number 50. Also, another thing that you need to see is this variable explorer. Let me clear all the variables which are there. So I'm clearing all the variables. So no variable in the memory. Okay, watch that thing first. I'm on line number 50 from where I start debugging the program. Note, there is nothing in the variable explorer even now, not a single variable. I give a call to function greet. Now first look at the lifetime and then we'll talk about visibility. So first look at lifetime. Local variables are created every time you enter into the function and they're destroyed every time you go out of the function. So I'm giving a call to function greet. The moment I give a call to function greet, we come inside function. Now in function starts at line number 10, but at line number 11, we have defined a variable. All right, we have created a variable. So at so we have been asked, what's your name? I say my name is Kareem is my name. Note, a variable called as name with value as Kareem has got created on line number 11. Now we greet that fellow saying welcome name inside greet. So that means I'm accessing the variable. It says welcome Kareem inside greet. And from here, I'm going to say return. Now I'm going to return. Where will the return transfer the control? To the place where the call has been given. But while we return, you need to watch this window. Evaluation window is a variable that you need to watch. This variable name of length 5, whose name is Kareem, has got created. See what happens when I say return. The moment I say return, control is transferred from that function to the place from where it was going to call. Look at the variable explorer, the variable has destroyed. There is no such variable in memory. I again give a call to function greet. Watch it very carefully. I again give a call to function greet. We come inside the greet. No variable has yet been created. It is created from the line where it has been defined till the end of the code block. And now watch it. When I come to line number 11, that variable will get created. Here I am. At line number 11, moment to enter the name. So my name is suppose Priya. The moment that name is returned and assigned to this variable name with value called as Priya has got created. So we greet Priya saying welcome Priya inside greet. That's what we have done. And now I'm going to say return. Now, the moment I say return, this variable whose value is name, variable whose value is Priya should get destroyed. So I'm going to return from line number 13. So I return, watch it very carefully. I return from line number 13 and note the variable has got destroyed. There is no such variable called as name inside the memory. So the point that you need to understand over here is, moment you come inside the function, the variable gets created, and moment you go outside the function, the variable has been destroyed. So that variable's life is limited to the code block in which it has been defined. It didn't get created the moment you came inside the function. Inside the function, on whichever line it was defined or it was created, from that line till the end of the code block, the variable is existing. Moment you return from the function, the variable has been destroyed. So that what we have demonstrated right now is only the lifetime of the variable. How long is the variable retained in the memory? So the variable is retained in the memory from the point it has been created till the end of the code block in which it has been defined. Moment you come out of the code block in which it has been defined, the variable was destroyed automatically. They are also called as automatic variable, local variable, whatever it is. So the most common name is local variable, but you'll find sometimes some people calling it as automatic variables. They are created and destroyed automatically. You don't have to do anything. So have you understood this concept? At least the lifetime of your variable. Monica?
Yes, sir.
Let's proceed further. Now we talked about lifetime, but I said there are two things that you should try and understand. One is lifetime, other is visibility. Lifetime is how long is it retained in the memory. Please note it down. Huh? Lifetime is how long it is retained in memory. Visibility is which section of the program can access that variable or that item. So which all places can you access it? So now let's talk about accessibility or visibility. In this code, we have checked out for lifetime. Now on line number 52, I'm trying to access this variable name, and look, it generates an error on line number 52. If I run this particular code directly, it will say, what's your name? I say, my name is Rama. It says, hello, Rama, inside greet. What's your name? I say, my name is, suppose, Maddie. It says, and then it stops. So after these two for successful call, on line number 52, the program has failed. So a Maddie BD ho gaya, greet Maddie, and then immediately you check out line number 52, the program has failed. Look at this. It says, "Ye program here is it has failed on line number 52. We're trying to access name outside greet. And what's an error? It says name is not defined. So there is nothing called as name inside the program. Why? Because the name is local to that particular function. It was created when we came in over here. It was destroyed the moment you go out. In the variable explorer in the memory, there is no variable called as name. So that was visibility. The variable which has been defined inside a code block, it's at one level of indentation. It is created when you define it, and moment you return from that code block or come out of the code block, the variable name has got destroyed. So variable names visibility is limited to these 3 lines, to the function in which it has been defined. From where? From the point it has been defined till end of the code block, that variable can be accessed. This variable will not be accessible outside the function. Local variable name will be created every time the function is called. Local variable name will be destroyed moment we return from the function. Okay. And here we are saying if I'm trying to access it, it generates an error. It is no longer supporting us. Okay. Now to understand this concept even further, let's look at it. I have another function called as check if odd. Where is the function check if odd? Here I go. What is the number that we have passed? This number will take mod by 2. If it is equal to 1, it will say printf the number is odd. Others will say printf the number is not odd. Okay. It will print this and then it returns true or false. So this function is going to do two things. It's going to print a message and then also return a Boolean value, either true or false. So first it will print number is odd or the number is not odd, and then return true or false. If the number is odd, it will return true. If the number is not odd, it will return false. That's what this function does. Let's comment out the rest of the two codes. The focus over here is again to understand the scope of the function parameter. We say function parameters are local to the function. So there is this parameter called as number that may not have been defined inside the function. That is defined in the function header. We call this as function header. But it's also a name. Na? So every name has a scope and every name has a visibility. So the variable names which form the part of function signature, that's the signature. Signature mein kya hota hai? Name of the function, the parameters, and the return type. That's the function header. That's the function signature. You may call it anything. If I hide this, so what you see over here is only a function header or a function signature. What you see over here is only the function header or a function signature. So this variable which has been defined is also local to this particular function. It cannot be accessed outside the function. You want to see the proof? Let's do it. We have variable called as n. We have variable result and this. Now, if I'm at line number 54, n will get created. Let's do that. We are at line number 54. Moment you execute that line, variable n with value 23 has got created. Watch it very carefully. Yeah? Then I give a call to function check if odd n. Watch it very carefully. I give a call, we come to this function. Now, moment I come to this particular function, whatever was the value n ka value 23, that value 23 has now been received inside this parameter called as number. So this number parameter receives value 23. Which is the value 23? Oh, the one that you have passed. The one that you have passed. Check if odd n ka value is 23. So that value 23 has now been received in this particular parameter called as number. And then we take a mod. Note here, the variable n to hai, that is defined in main. Number we have. Now, we receive that particular variable value. Now I say number mod 2 equal to 1 hai kya? 23 mod 2 is 1. Yeah, it is true. So we say the number is odd. Look at this. 23 is odd. And then we say return true. Now, moment you say return true, any variable that we had created inside the function is going to get destroyed. Or all the variables that we have created inside the function are going to get destroyed. This was the only variable that we had created inside the function, which you can see it over here, that will also get destroyed. So let's check it out. So we are here. I'm going to say return true. Moment I return true, note n hai result hai. Result is a new variable that has got created over here. But then the variable has got destroyed. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. So the variable name, the variable number that was created, that was created when we came inside that function and has got destroyed when we left out of that particular function. But then here the value that was returned, that is result. I could print the value of this particular variable result. The result is true. But if you look at into the memory, note there is no variable called as number. There is no variable called as number. Why? Because number got created when we came over here, moment the function was called. Moment you return from the function from any place, this variable number is going to get destroyed. So it was got destroyed. It was not there. Next time I take an even number. The first time it was odd number. This time I take an even number. So what is this? We'll debug the program from another point. We are debugging the code from here. Let's debug it from other point. Let's debug the code from here. Huh? Okay, watch it carefully now. Irrespective of where it returns from, that variable is going to get destroyed. You return from here. Last time we returned from here, 23 kilo. This time I'm going to return from true. Last time doing note, 23 is odd. Okay. Last time we returned from here. This time you're going to return false. But moment you return from the function, all the variables that you have created inside the function at any place, all of them are going to get destroyed if they are regular variables. So we're at line number 58. Now I run this code from line number 58. Watch it. N is a variable that we have. A result is already created in the last time. Here on this line, it is having value as 2. This time I pass value 20. I pass value 20. Watch it. We give a call to function check if odd, and I pass n. N was defined in main, so it is available everywhere. Even when I go inside the function, that n is still there. Number is a new variable with value of n, that is 20 has got created. Can you see this number with value 20 has got created? Value 20 has got created. It says 20 mod 2 equals 0. 1 hai kya? Nahi hai. It goes to else, and then it says number is not odd. Number is not odd is what it prints. Okay, we need to check what went wrong. Why did it print f number is not odd? F number is not odd. Oh, I put that f in quotes. Silly mistake. That quote should come over here. It's a here. That's how we should print it. Okay, so let's debug it once again. Here we are. We're at line, and then here we go on to create the variable. We give a call to this function, so we come inside the function. Moment you came inside the function, the number has got created. Its value is 20. 20 mod 2 equal to 0. 1 hai kya? Nahi hai. So we go to the else part. We're going to say number is not odd. 20 is not odd. We're going to return false. But moment you say return over here, you should notice variable number should get destroyed. Watch it. Variable number has been destroyed. There are only two variables, n and result. N and result both are from main function. Whatever you define in main will be there as long as the program is running. And we say the number n is odd or whatever it is. 20 is odd, false, whatever value is returned. So even the function parameters are local to the function. Last time we had a local variable, correct? One which was defined inside the function. But function parameters are always local to the function. So that's what was the understanding. Function parameters are also local to the function. So function parameters are created when the function is called, and all the function parameters are destroyed when the function returns. Have you understood this aspect? Function parameters are always local. Monica, what's the doubt?
Sir.
Okay, so let's move one step ahead. I have another function called as bars that returns integer. It has a variable called as num whose value is 9. We access that variable 9 and we return 9 plus 10, that is 19. Num ka value 9 hai, so we return 19. Every time we print the number. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this function bars AIF. Okay, there is a function called as bars. There is a function bars, so let me call it multiple times. I'm going to call this function bars multiple times. BAZ and BAZ. Or I could just say print BAZ. Print a string was returned. So bars function returns bars of this. Here I'm giving a function call. So we are allowed to have a function call. I do this way. That's one way to do it. If you just have to run and see the results. The other way could have been like what we did on line number 59. You could return the value, store it. But if you watch it, I got inside number bars is 19, bars return 19. Number in bars is 9, bars return 19, and number bars in is 9. This is the third time when you're given a call. Okay, we are given a call over here as well. Let us do in a way you'll understand. Suppose if I say result is equal to bars, that's my function call. Just for you to understand what I'm trying to say. And here, instead of these two statements, I could write something like this. returned a result. I would say something like this. So let me just show you what's happening over here. We are at line number 64. Let's debug it from line number 64. On line number 64, we give a call to function bars. Watch it carefully. We are at line number 64, where we are giving a call to function bars. Control come inside function bars. No variable created yet. Watch this variable explorer on the top right corner. Here a variable called as num gets created. Can you see this? Num with value 9 has got created. We print the value of that particular number 9. We say return number plus 10. So we can return a result of an expression as well. So 9 plus 10 is 19. Huh? So value 19 will be returned. But then a return value got stored into a variable called as result. But have you noticed this variable that we had created num no longer exists? That was local to function bus. There is no way we can access the variable outside the function bus. It's local to that particular function bus. And then if I'm going to print this result, it will print 19. It will print 19. So that's how it has correctly printed 19 once you have come out of that particular function. So this variable that we have defined on line number 26 is accessible or is created when you come in that function on line number 26 and is destroyed when you return from that function. So variable num is local to function bars. Have you understood this, everybody? Yes. Any question? Any questions, anybody? Okay.
Awesome.
Let's move ahead. Now we are always talking about function main through your given call. That's not necessary. One function can call the function as well. Watch it. What are we doing over here now? So in this particular code, what we'll now be doing is we will carrying out some operations in a slightly different way. Look at this. I have a function called as bar. And somewhere we may give a call to function bar. Somewhere we may give a call to function bar. I call function bar. If I call function bar, control will come over here. And we say num from bars. How can we access num from bars? This num that has been defined inside function bars is visible only to that function. A variable that has been defined in one function cannot be accessed in another function. So both the lines is generates an error. Welcome, name from greet. No. Name was a function which is visible only in greet. So the name that was defined in greet cannot be accessed in bar. The num that was defined in bars that cannot be accessed in bar. Why? Because num and name, both of them were local to the function in which they have been defined. So name was visible in this section and num was visible in this section. These variables cannot be accessed outside the code block in which it has been defined because they are local to that function which has been defined. Their visibility is limited to the function in which they have been defined. So any attempt to do such a thing generates an error. So IDE was telling us don't run the code, there is an error. And if I run it, it will say unknown variable, undefined variable, variable not defined, that kind of error it will generate. Yes, have you all understood? Local variables before we go with global concept.
Yes.
Now that we have seen what this concept of local variable is, let's move forward. Next is global variable. It says global names are variables assigned at the top level of the enclosing module file. Top level. Top level means this variable is not defined inside anything. It's global. Top level. Normally our function variables we have been creating inside a function. but they are defined where the function is defined at the top level, 0th indentation, first column of your screen. Global names may be referenced within the function without being declared. So if I define a variable globally, you have permission to access the variable inside any other function. In the last example, in function bars, bar, we could not access the variables defined in bars. But now global variables can be accessed within a function without being declared. So without I creating that variable inside a function, I can access the variable inside that function, global variable inside the function. Global names must be declared only if they are assigned within the functions. So if I'm going to assign a value to a global variable, then it is necessary for you to declare them. Otherwise, we can use it directly. So let's have a look at this concept of global. Watch it. I have one variable whose name I have given as global variable. But important thing is to note is where has it been defined? That's something which is very important. Where has it been defined? This variable has now been defined where at the 0th level. That means definition of this function starts at column number 1. Global variable, its definition is also started at column number 1. Thank you. Okay, its definition has also started at note ये D जहाँ जिस column पे है वही ये G is available. You can give any other name. I'm just calling it global variable so that we can understand. So this variable will be created when the module is loaded. That time itself this variable will get created. So this variable can be accessed at every place, even inside the function in which it has not been defined. If I define a local variable, you have to access that local variable only inside the function in which it has been defined. But global variable, which has been defined globally, why do I say globally? Because as this particular statement said, are assigned at the top level in the enclosing module file. So what is your file? This is my module file. I said last time, every file is a module in Python. So it is defined at the top level. Top level doesn't mean at line number 1 or 2. Top level means F1 is also at the top level. F2 is also at the top level. This if is at the top level. I will say column number 0 पे या 1 पे in define किया. The G is at column number 1. This is also column number 1. आपके screen के column number 1 पे define किया. 0th level indentation. These variables have been defined. So that's what we call it as top level. Huh? Now watch. We are at line number 23. Note the variable explore is currently empty. We haven't called any function till now. I'll debug this particular code. We are at line number 23. But while we are at line number 23, can you see this global var over here? That is already been created. So what all things are currently present in memory? If that is the question, there are 3 things that are currently present in memory. One is the global var, other is F1, other is F2. You want to see that? Let me just see if I can intercept in between. If I say dir somewhere in between, it says, can you see this? F1, F2 and global var. Can you see this? They're
Yes,
all
sir.
present in the memory. Why? Because they're at the top level. So these are all, I said anything that comes with this dunder are all magic. So keep that magic aside. We know what name does. We know what doc does. The rest we have to see. But F1, F2 global var is something that we have created. They are there in the memory now. You can see what all things have been defined in the memory by calling dir. The moment I call dir, it will tell you what all things are currently present in the memory. So these 3 are there, F1, F2 and global var. F1, F2 are 2 functions defined at the top level. Global var is another function, variable defined at the top level. So those 3 have been created. Now, if I want to access the value of global variable even over here, let's see what it gives this value. If I access F1, it will tell me it's a function. If I access F2, it will tell me it's a function because it's there in the memory. And what we are testing right now is what's there in the memory. So all the things are present in the memory. Yes, Monica, what's your question?
Hello.
Yes,
Sir,
Tanu.
if we close this file and again in another file, if we access this variable, is it visible? Is it
No,
accessible?
no. Its scope is limited to this file,
Okay.
but we'll not call it as a file. Look,
Okay.
if it's something like this, I have this container. I have this container. In this container, currently there is some water.
Okay.
If I, okay, you can see this container now.
Yes.
In this container, there is some water right now. I
Hmm.
could have kept something else also inside this container instead of water. Say there are some pebbles inside this container.
Okay.
Now, when can I have put the cap off, cap on? Now, tell me, when can you access the pebbles which have been stored inside this container?
If we remove the cap, no?
No, if
No.
if we are inside that container, correct?
Huh.
Okay,
Yes,
if you are in, so anything which is present inside the container will have access to the pebbles which have been kept inside the container.
Okay.
If this particular container, okay, if this particular container has been kept inside a box. So tell me, inside the box, are the pebbles accessible or the container accessible?
First container accessible.
First time, only the container is accessible.
container
Those pebbles are present inside the container.
Okay.
Okay, so the
Hmm.
pebbles are enclosed inside the container and the container is enclosed inside the box, correct? So local variables are enclosed inside a function and everything that is global is enclosed inside a module. So your file is nothing but a module. Avoid using the name file, call it as a module, because in Python, every file is a module. Every file is a module. So now the scope will be at two levels. Right now, we are talking about variable scope in the context of the file, that is module. But now to make that variable accessible outside that particular module, you will have to do something different. But not that it is not possible. Just that I'm not discussing it right now because we are not discussing modules right now. So if you want to make sure that the variable that Rahul creates in his file, that's a module, I want Shantanu to access in his another file. So that level of discussion we'll do in the next topic where we'll discuss concept of modules. Currently, we're not discussing it, but just for your information, these variables that we have created, if I close that file, unless I know something more about the modules, they are not accessible outside that particular module. They are accessible only inside that particular file as of now. But Python provides you techniques, rather every language provides you techniques where it can make possible for you to share variables between different files. So that option is available, but not straightforward. There is something more that we'll have to do to make that thing possible. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so that was a good question. Okay, but then that will be discussed in the next topic when we start with the next topic.
Okay.
Just by regular function, that's not possible. Here we go. So note, this particular variable called as global var has got created because it's at the topmost level, F1, F2. We have just checked on. And when I say dir over here, I get all the things which are present in that particular scope. So I got the F1 function, F2 function. I also got this variable called as global var. Now we give a call at line number 23. We are trying to access this global variable. I said it's there in the memory. We can see it is allocated some space in this variable explorer. We can check that thing. Now, if I'm trying to access a variable which is currently present, it's very much accessible. Note, it says global in main, we got value 10. We could access the value of that variable. This time around, I give a call to function F1. Now I give a call to function F1. The control comes inside function F1. Watch it. Control comes inside function F1. Inside function F1, there's a variable called as local variable that has got created. Can you see this local variable with value 99 has got created? Watch what I'm showing you. 99 has got created. I access the local variable. Its value is 99. Visible bhi hai. That is scope is there. It's within the scope. And its lifetime is also inside that function. Throughout the life of the function. Now on line number 16, we are accessing global variable. Oh, we could access global variable in main. We are now in a position to access global variable even inside the function F1. We haven't defined any variable inside function F1, any global variable. But when I'm reading the value of the variable, it says we can access value, access the variable defined globally inside a function. So if any variable has been defined globally, we are having permission to access its value inside a function. So if I try and access it, we get the value. So this global variable was accessed in main, has been also accessed in function F1. It is visible or accessible everywhere. And note its lifetime over here. On line number 16, I return now. After accessing this global variable, I return. Now, moment I return, global variable is there, but the variable local var that we had created has got destroyed because it was local variable, not because its name is local. Last time we took num, we took number, we took name, variable which has been defined inside a function. So moment you came out of the function, the local variable has been destroyed, but global variable is still existing, and I can access the value of the global variable is 10. I again give a call to function f1. Watch it very carefully. Again, the local variable will get created. Note, variable has got created. We could access the value of the local variable. We can access the value of the global variable. And moment I return, the local variable has got destroyed. There is no local, only global variable is what we have. This global variable's value has now been changed to 100. We are changing the value of the global variable. I print the value, it says 100. I give a call to function f1. F1 may also get to see the change value. Here the local variables are with line and global variable is 100. That means if I make changes to the global variable anywhere, it will be accessible at all future down the line. That means on line number 100, if I change the value of the global variable, the rest of the program on line number 100 onwards, you will get to see the changed thing.
Sir,
Ek minute. We are at line number 16 from where I return. Moment I return, the local variable has got destroyed. I now give a call to function f2. I give a call to function f2. We come inside function f2. Note, in f2 also global variable is accessible. Moment I come out, the variable has not got destroyed. But if I was trying to access the local variable, which was actually created on line number 14, line number 13, this is the line where it was created. If I try and access the local variable over here, it generates an error. Look at this line number 32, it is generating an error. It says undefined name called as local variable. You may argue with me, sir, line number 13 we have defined. Oh, but that's local to F1. Since it's local to F1, it is visible or accessible only from the point where it has been defined till the end of the code block in which it has been defined. Bus. Any attempt made to access the variable outside that function will generate an error. That's local variable. But global variable can be accessed from the point it has been defined later, every other line, every other place in the program. Its lifetime, till we have not stopped the program. Program is still running. This global variable will be occupying memory as long as the program is running. They are there in the memory as long as the program is running. That's one big drawback. So even if you don't need it, it will still occupy memory. So here I go. We turn off the thing. Program execution is over now. Execution over means we are still in this particular code block. No other program has started. Global variable is still there in the memory. So global variables are created when the program, when the control reaches to the place where it has been defined, and the variable will continue to stay in the program in the memory as long as the program is running. Only when the program execution stops completely, then the variable will be destroyed. Yes, Viraj, what was your question?
sir, if we write global variable after F1 and before F2,
Okay.
then will it be available in both?
To answer this, I have expressed myself very clearly. I said from the point it has been defined till end of the code block, or from the point it has been defined till end of the module. You cannot access the global variable before defining it. You mean this?
Okay, sir.
आप ये कह रहे ये यहाँ ना डिफाइन करते हुए अगर आपने इसे यहाँ डिफाइन किया था, that's what you're saying, correct?
हाँ sir.
Okay, so let's run this particular program. Okay, so we have global variable that has been created. Oh, it's globally defined. Remove. I remove it. Let's run the code. It's available from the point. Oh, did we call the function over here f1 or it has been only defined? क्या किया था हमने? कॉल किया ना सिर्फ या डिफाइन किया?
Call केलं होतं.
नहीं.
Call.
No. Calling has been done on line number 27 for the first time. Can you see that?
Okay.
F1 has been called over here first time. F2 has been called from here first time. This is like defining. This is only defining. And this is calling. Yeah, function call kiya. So the execution starts when you call. But tell me, before I reach to line number F1, that is line number 27, was the variable global var already created? Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
Great.
So here we go. When we are debugging, we saw I'm still at line number 25. I haven't come to line number 27. The variable is still there. Global var is still there. So three things have been already defined. Kya defined hai? A global var, F1 and F2. And how could we see that? Just by calling dir. F1, F2, and global val. All the three things are still there. That means these have been created. The point is the level where it has been defined. It has been defined as the topmost level, zeroth column. Zeroth column. A column agar kahoge, the zeroth column pe define kiya, that's very important. So all these things are defined and kept in the very. Now when I go on to access it, यहाँ भी access हो गया. F1 को call किया, उसके अंदर भी access हो गया. Again, if I try and access global value, there also it is accessible. Inside F1, again it is accessible. I change the value, and if I print it, if I access F1, F2, both the places the value has got changed. I change the value of the global variable over here on line number 30. It has got altered in line number for F1 and F2 because after we have reset this, you are trying to access it. So you will get the updated value because anyway, there are no multiple copies of this global variable. It's the same variable which is accessed throughout the program. So you can say global variables are accessible throughout the program, throughout the module. These global variables are accessible throughout. Understand scope and globally defined variable. So I also talk about visibility, accessibility. I'll say they're accessible throughout the module. So throughout the module, irrespective where it has been defined, level important, it's zeroth level, topmost level. And then execution starts over here. You can definitely not do something. You call a function first and then you define a variable. That's not possible. तो यहाँ अगर मैंने किसी फंक्शन को कॉल किया होता, सपोज यहाँ F1 को कॉल करो, वॉच इट, आई एम कॉलिंग F1 over here. ये कॉल कर लिया. Can you see that F1 has been called over here? And I'm defining variable over here, and I'm already trying to access that variable here. So that should generate an error. Let's check it out. That should generate an error. Let's delete this from the very first. And let's run the code and see what happens. So when I give a call to F1, control will come over here, and let's see what happens. Has generated error?
Yes, sir.
Because before you call a function, the function code inside the function is not executed. The code inside the function is executed only when you call that particular function. Okay. Have you understood this, everybody?
Yes, sir.
So the variables are created moment you enter inside the function. Local variables are created moment you enter the function. They are destroyed moment you come out of the function. Global variables are accessed from where? Throughout the file, but not before defining it. So here I'm on line number 20, I'm defining it, and line number 17, if I call this function, then definitely you cannot access this global variable. Okay. But later in main, your application, you can access anywhere. Why? Because I'll comment out this. Throughout the file, wherever we are, before we come to this line, or before we come to line number 26, these three things will get created. So once created, it can be accessed anywhere in the program, but only after creation. You cannot access the global variable before creation. Create करने के पहले access नहीं कर सकते. पर आपको सर आपने तो नीचे define किया, ऊपर कैसे access कर रहे हो? यहाँ call नहीं है, आपको call नहीं देना है. If you give a call, then that's problematic. Calling will make an attempt to execute this function. You cannot execute this function unless global variable has been defined. I understood this. Monica, we just saw how to change the value of the global variable. Didn't we? I changed the value of the global variable as 100. And then later at all the three places, wherever I give a call, we got value 100. Do we see that?
Yes, sir. I got disconnected.
Yeah, see all the three places, value of the global variable is 100. Why? Because we changed the value of the variable over here at line number 32. So once we change the value of the variable, that point onwards in the program, whenever you're executing any statement, you'll get the updated value of the global variable because it has been altered.
Okay.
Shantanu, everybody do you have a doubt? Any questions? Anybody?
No, sir.
Quick feedback. Have you understood? Yes, no? So I share this file as well with you.
But sir, if we define for an input, then it might change, no?
Value will change.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, the way say assign karo ya input le lo. Once the value has been changed, rest all the place in the program will get the change value.
Okay.
आप directly change करो या function call से change करो. What do you do? Once the value of the variable has been changed, that change will be reflected at all the further places in the program. Understood?
Yes, sir.
जहाँ change हुआ है उसके आगे हर जगह that changed thing will be displayed.
सर फिर वापस इनपुट डाला तो वापस चेंज.
Input करो या equal to से करो. It's assignment only ना.
हाँ, yes,
If I
sir.
say n equal to 10 or n is equal to input and whatever you input, it's one and the same. You are changing the value.
Okay, sir.
If I say n equal to 10, that becomes altering the value at compile time. And if I say n is equal to input something, so that becomes altering the value at runtime. So runtime change karo ya compile time change karo, value is changed. Equal to operator is meant for assignment. So whatever you assign to that value variable, that will be the one that is changed. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we are going to go ahead with some very interesting behavior which is unique to Python. Now, what is this interesting behavior which is unique to Python? For that, let's have a look at a particular code. And you're going to make a guess what would happen when I make an attempt to access those things. Here I go. I'll hide certain things first, and then we'll jump on to certain things. And I'm going to trace the code. As I trace the code, based on whatever we have learned, you are going to guess the results. You're going to tell me, sir, what will happen. So here you go. I'll get rid of all the comments. I'll copy this into some other things so that you will not be confused. And just get rid of things that I do not want you to worry about. I'm just making some changes to the program. So bear with me. Here we go. It's for you to guess the results. Huh? Look at this. I defined two global variables. A lucky number hai, which is a random number between 0 to 100. Other is a name. I say random.choice, Rishi, Rohit, Babu, Soru. Okay. So these are the four names out of which it's a list of names. Actually, it's a list of names. And random.choice will randomly pick one of these elements. So name is going to be a random element among these. Let the names be from your batch. That's Harsh. That's Rahul. And there is Antanu. There is Raj. One of the name will get stored in this variable name. But note it has at the topmost level. That means they are global. Okay, so here we will have a random element, and here we have a random integer from 1 to 100. Okay, 0 to 100. Let's say कोई random integer आएगा. So let's, and we have a function f1 where we print the name and the lucky number. So my question to you is, I'm not going to run the code, but I'm going to ask you some questions. If I give a call to function f1, control comes over here. What will it print over here?
Name and number.
Will it print NAME and NUMBR?
No, the name from the list provided.
Random.
Assume
Random
karte,
name.
assume karte hai, random number picked is 99 and random name is suppose Shantanu. Or we could do that because when I come here, I'm at line number 57. Huh? Let's debug the code. So we have lucky number that is 39 and name is Shantanu. Oh, I could guess. Now we are at line number 57. This is the lucky number 39. This is the lucky name that is Shantanu. Now tell me what will you print when I'm in this stage?
Shantanu's lucky number is 39.
Okay, let's see whether you're right. We give a call.
Full
Ah.
stop.
Any other answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shanthanu's lucky number in F1 equals to, then the number is 39.
Okay. Okay, that's correct. In the formatted fashion you're printing. Okay, that's correct. Shantanu's lucky number in F1 is 39. That's perfect. Now, when I say return, these two will get destroyed? Yes or no?
Yes,
No.
I'm returning from the
No,
function.
sir.
अरे function में से return करने तो मेरे everything gets destroyed.
Ideally, it should.
yes, sir. We'll
Yes.
destroy them.
Correct?
No. No.
Yes or no?
Only
Yes.
global variable is no.
Yes.
Yes. Global variable doesn't get destroyed. It's only the local variable that gets destroyed. Look at this. I return from this. Nothing is going to get destroyed. Has it been destroyed?
Okay.
No. Other local variables होते हैं ना, variables defined in F1, then they would have got destroyed. Are they local variables? Lucky number and name. Are they local or global variables?
Global variable.
So global variable ka lifetime is throughout the module, as long as that module is running. The return vary as long as that module is running. Now give a call to F2. Have a look at the code of F2. Now tell me what would happen if I give a call to F2 and I come inside F2. What would happen?
So value for name and lucky number will be changed, and
Okay,
it will
what will it print?
print the name that will be picked up randomly from the list.
Now hold on. When I came to F2, did the control go to line number 14 or 15?
No.
That is already been executed when this variable was created. So it's not
Mhm.
going to revisit this particular part of the code. The variables
Okay.
were created and they were initialized. What Viraj was asking equal to some, if I say input, they equal to some function here, input or random or whatever it is. It's a function call. It's an assignment. This assignment of variable lucky number has happened at runtime. When this program started executing, line number 14, 15 have been executed, the variables have been correctly initialized. So they will not
So
get
ये change ही
recreated.
नहीं होगा. So
Change
this
ही
will
नहीं
not
होगा.
change.
Or it will give the same result. Can you see this? Santuna's lucky number in F2 is 39. No change.
Mhm.
But the moment I say return, this lucky number and name will get destroyed now, since we are in F2 now.
No.
No. So
No.
there's no question of you being in F2 or F1. Note we now come here in name, but even when we have come outside that particular function, your lucky number or name wahi hai, Shantanu or 39. That did not get altered. Now here, can we access that name and lucky number?
Yes.
Outside the function. Inside the function, okay.
Yes, sir. Accessible.
Why?
Global variable.
Global
Global.
variable. If I access it, I say Shantanu's lucky number is in main is 39, is what I'm saying. So that variable has got changed. Now I give a call to function F3. Now, the moment I give a call to F3, I'm changing the value of the name to Sandesh. I'm changing the lucky number to random number something something.
Mhm.
Now my question to you is, when I give a call to F3, what will be printed over here? The updated value or the original value?
Updated value.
Updated.
Viraj, Ashish, Shantanu,
Updated, sir.
Updated, sir.
Ashish.
Name will be updated and lucky number will be same.
No, it will be updated.
Both the value will be
updated हो
updated.
जाएगा.
There are only two possibilities. Either they are updated or not updated. It cannot be like एक को update किया, एक को नहीं किया. That will never be the case. Because both of them are same type. Both of them are global, correct? So either both of them are updated or both of them are not updated. This is the only choice. Third कुछ और choice
No,
नहीं
sir,
है.
I think no updated because we need to update global variable value outside the function, no?
Okay. So update or assign.
Mhm.
I mean,
So
assign.
Okay.
Assign.
Hold on. Just to clarify that point, here we had assigned it initially.
Yes.
Monica?
Yes, sir.
And then, oh, not in this example. Where was that example? Okay, oh, yeah. Here, we had assigned this value initially when we had defined the variable,
Yes.
and then we had assigned it over here as well. Inside a code block. ये code block है ना आपका?
हाँ.
Had it got changed or not changed?
Change.
Changed. Now, keeping that thing in mind, answer the question. What will it print?
It will be updated.
Updated way.
Hmm.
Okay. It will print the updated value. Okay. Watch it now. We are at F3. I give a call to function F3. We come inside this function F3. We have this particular variable called as name. Name का value क्या है? शंतनु था. Now when we come inside this, it now changes to Sandesh. Has it changed to Sandesh?
Yes.
Then I change the lucky number. Lucky number अभी क्या change हो चुका है?
67.
67. क्या print होगा? शंतनु या संदेश?
Sandesh,
39 या 67?
Sandesh lucky number in F3 equals to 57.
Sandesh lucky number is
67.
67.
okay. Let's check it out. And you are correct. Sandesh lucky number is in F3 is 67. F3 में 67 है. Now I say return. Moment I say return, these two will get destroyed.
No,
Yes,
No,
sir.
no,
No.
it should destroy the.
no,
No,
no.
no,
Because
no,
they are
no.
local.
Because they are
No.
Local is only used in F3.
But it is assigned, no? So I think it should not be destroyed.
so what it is only assigned, so it should not be destroyed. That's what you mean. Okay. Anybody
Yes.
feel that this should be destroyed?
Yes, sir.
Why? They are local or global variables. Yes.
Yes, sir.
ये
Yes,
local या global variable है.
Local, sir. Sandesh is local, sir.
संदेश is local. Name local है या नहीं है? Lucky number
No, sir.
local है.
Name is not. Name is global.
Name is global. Variable name is global.
Yes, sir.
It will
The
be,
variable-
sir, this will be replaced with again the random function will generate some other values.
यहाँ दोबारा कंट्रोल नहीं जाने वाला.
Okay.
If that was the case, it should have happened over here as well. Unless
Destroy
the
हो जाएगा.
control does not reach over here again. Are you transferring the control by any way logic? Go saying go to line number 14 या go to line number 15 ऐसा कुछ किया है क्या आपके पास है क्या कुछ?
नहीं.
So there is no question unless these statements are not executed again. There is no chance of these values being changed. Here by that particular code. Here we have changed the value of the variable. Here
तो ये assigned रहेगा.
assigned रहेगा. तो अगर ये assigned है तो my question is when we come back to main यहाँ क्या print होगा अभी?
सर वो एंड तक वही रहेगा जब
क्या?
तक हम चेंज नहीं करेंगे.
अरे चेंज
संदेश
करने के
आने-
बाद पूछ रहा हूँ मैं यार संदेश और रैंडम इंट चेंज करने के बाद यहाँ क्या रहेगा?
सर वही रहेगा.
वही मतलब क्या?
संदेश
Sandesh
67.
lucky number is 67.
संदेश एंड लकी नंबर.
Yes.
ओके व्हाई सो? ऐसा क्यों?
सर वी
आशीष
चेंज दैट.
आशीष को आंसर करना. आशीष ऐसा क्यों? आशीष आई देयर?
Yes, sir.
ऐसा क्यों? ये जो कह रहे हैं ऐसा क्यों होगा? या संदेश क्यों आएगा? या 67 क्यों आएगा?
क्योंकि सर वो अपडेट असाइन हो गया नया ग्लोबल तो
अरे
अपडेट हो गया.
ये तो इस फंक्शन के अंदर हुआ था ना. फंक्शन के बाहर थोड़ी ना चेंज हुआ है.
है ना सर पर ग्लोबल वेरिएबल अपडेट हो जाएगा.
ग्लोबल वेरिएबल था. एक ही कॉपी है. किसी ने भी चेंज किया. आशीष चेंज करे या विराज चेंज करे. चेंज तो चेंज ही है. ओके. So let's see what it happens. If I go on to execute this line number 62, this is one place where Python is different from other languages. जो आंसर आप दे रहे हैं that is true in case of C, in case of C++, in case of C++, not in case of Python. In Python you get Shantanu's lucky number is in main is 39.
Okay.
Why? Because if you look at the global variable, a variable explorer, lucky number अभी भी 39 है, name अभी भी Shantanu है. Now what is the learning over here? Learning is when I give a call to F3, inside F3 we are now assigning value to this global variable. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Listen to me very carefully. Moment you assign a value to a variable, a new variable by the name is created. A new variable by the name lucky number is created, which is local to that function. So what I'm going to do is, to help you understand this, I'm going to again come to F3 and execute this code and see what happens. If I now come to F3 over here, I come inside this particular code, watch it very carefully. This is lucky number and this is name. Here 36 Harsh tha, original one. Yahan aane par the 36 Harsh is now changed to Sandesh and 64, correct? Yes. And moment I print it, lucky number is Sandesh and 64 print ho gaya. But watch, line number 34 say, moment I return, 36 Harsh originally written always.
Mhm.
Why is that happening? Because global variables cannot be assigned a value inside a function. Moment you assign a value to a global variable inside a function, a local variable with the same name has been created. That means you now have two copies of the variable. One local variable name and one global variable name. One local variable lucky number, another global variable lucky number. The moment you assign a value to a variable, a local variable gets created in Python. This would not have been the case in other language like C, C++, but in Python, moment you assign a value, a local variable gets created. So here name and lucky number, these are two local variables that gets created. Okay, so when we came out of that particular thing, when we are in function F3, when we are at line number 62 now, you get to see the original value. You get to see the original value. Harsh ka lucky number is 39, 36, it says. We are getting to see the original value. So what is the learning over here? Anybody?
Sir.
So
Yes.
Sir, but if it when we changed it to Sandesh and another random number, then it became local. But
Correct.
it should have shown the global also, na? In
Very
the
good. Very, hold on. Aage mat bolo. That's a very good observation. Now listen. There is one rule, and that's true in all the languages. If I have a local variable whose name is same as that of the global variable, if I have a local variable whose name is same as that of the global variable, so inside the code block in which the local variable has been created, the local variable get preference over the global variable. So it is hiding the global variable. The local variable is getting preference over the global variable. Understood?
okay, sir.
So please make a note. If a function contains a local variable with the same name as that of a global variable, make a note. If a function contains a local variable with the same name as that of the global variable, with the same name of the global variable, the local variable gets preference over the global variable. The local variable gets preference over the global variable. Local variable gets preference over the global variable inside the code block in which the local variable has been defined.
so can you repeat it again?
In which
Please
variable?
read its initial part, so I'll repeat it.
If a function contains a local
Okay.
variable,
Okay, if a function contains a local variable with the same name as that of the global variable, if a function contains a local variable with the same name as that of the global variable, then the local variable gets preference over the global variable. The local variable name gets preference over the global variable name inside the function in which the local variable has been defined. So as far as that function goes, the local variable is accessible.
global variable inside the
Function in which the local variable has been defined. The local variable gets preference over the global variable inside the function in which the local variable has been defined. Okay. But Python is slightly different. This rule that we just now discussed is applicable everywhere, all the languages. But there are some cases where Python is different. Let's see what is the difference. Okay. Is this ID visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So point is, learning over here was, if I assign a value to a global variable inside a function, the global variable is not assigned, but a new local variable gets created. Here, in the previous case, F1 and F2, we are just accessing the value of the variable.
Yes.
Here, we are trying to alter the value of the variable.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So Python is different with other languages in a way that you cannot assign a value to a global variable inside a function
Yes.
directly. Please make a note. We cannot assign a value to a global variable directly inside a function. And that's a very different behavior as compared to other languages. Monica, what's the question?
Sir, rather than function, if we define global variable value before F3.
Okay. Here.
Yes. So when we return from the function, the actual value for the global variable will be
No. I can assign the value to the global variable multiple times outside the function. I'm talking about inside the function you can assign.
yes,
अगर
sir.
आपने यहाँ भी define किया, तो जो यहाँ define किया रहेगा, whatever value at line number 27, the same value will be accessible everywhere.
हाँ सर, तो जो वैल्यू रहेगा वही फंक्शन के अंदर आएगा ना.
Which
if we
function?
F3, if we didn't assign a value to name, then
If,
global
where, which line we did not assign?
inside F3, if we didn't assign name is equal to Sandesh, and we have assigned global variable value
Here.
before F3.
So that is the same will be accessed in all the functions.
Sorry. Yes.
So defining it over here or defining it over here doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
Didn't we see in the last example we defined it somewhere inside?
Yes, sir.
तो हमने देखा था यहाँ. Did it make any difference by defining the variable over here? For just to understand that you could do something like this. Suppose 1, and here I made it 10. Then point is, what will the value in F1? 10 or 1? Because initially it was 1. Then we change the value over here. Okay. And here when I'm accessing, let's see what's the value of the global variable. At all places it is 10. Because after this statement, before you come inside this, all these statements are executed once. Executed and I'll say that definition happens. So यहाँ आपने define किया, यहाँ भी आपने उसे change किया. तो rest in main, everyone will get the changed value. 1 कहीं नहीं आया देखो.
सर वो जो F1 कमेंट आउट किया है वो अगर वापस लिखा तो फिर 1 आ सकता है ना?
ये?
हाँ सर.
No way. 1 आएगा ही नहीं. So look at this. अच्छा. F1 ना call ना. Okay, this call is done before making this change.
Yes sir.
तो ये ठीक है ना? Because इसके पहले आप इस function को execute करने वाले हो. तो before making the change, if I give a call, then definitely you'll get the value 1. आगे 1. But do you, when you write this particular code in this fashion with a main block, do you make a call before that anywhere?
No.
No. Okay, so how is Python different? Let's have a look at it. I have one more function called as F4 that we're going to get executed. In F4, what do? I have name equal to Ali, lucky number is random int. Now it will happen, tell me. What will it print on line number 39?
Early and any random number.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Our global variable was 100 and lucky number was 36 and name was Harsha. Let's see whether you are right. So we give a call to that function. Name has been changed to alter to Ali. Random number is now 35. and we print it, it says Ali's lucky number in F4 is 35. Now tell me, when I return and go back to main on line number 65, what will it print?
Harsh and 36.
Okay, let's see whether you're right.
39.
Let's see. We go here and it has correctly printed Harsh and 36. It has correctly printed that. I give a call to F5. Okay. And there is where our next topic starts. It says global allows you, global names must be declared only if they are assigned within a function. So if you are trying to access a global variable, if you are trying to assign a value to a global variable inside a function, you need to tell the interpreter, oh, this is not a local variable. Please don't create a local variable for me. Use the one that has already been defined, the global variable. So how will you declare a global variable inside a function? So Python mandates that if I plan to assign a value to a global variable inside a function, then it is necessary for us to declare and tell the interpreter, oh, this is not a new local variable. It is a global variable that I want you to use over here. And that is done with a keyword called as global. So we have a keyword called as global. Let's have a look at this keyword called as global. Here I go. I give a call to F5. Now keep this in mind that this behavior is very different than other languages. I give a call to F5. I come inside this function F5. Here I'm saying global name, global lucky number. The moment I use this keyword called as global, I'm saying, okay, in this particular code, in this particular function, wherever I'm accessing the name called as name or lucky number, oh, these are not local variables now. These are the same global variables that you have defined at the top. So there's a special keyword called as global. Now, when I say global name, and if I'm trying to assign a value to those variables, it will not spend its time creating a new local variable, although if I'm assigning a value to it, it will still use the global variable because we have declared them inside the function saying that there is a global variable called as name, there is a global variable called as lucky number. Please use those variables over here. Let's check it out. We come inside. Note कीजिएगा value Harsh ही है, global variable 36, lucky number 36 ही है. Let me just get rid of this global variable for a moment. Lucky number is 36, name is Harsh. Oh, till here there is no problem. The behavior is expected. But once I change, we expected it to not change the global variable. But I'm saying, okay, in this particular function, wherever I'm accessing name or lucky number, they are the global variable that I'm going to access. Don't create a local variable, although I'm assigning a value to it. Last we took a note saying that if you assign a value, it is a local variable that gets created. But now I'm saying, okay, please don't create a local variable, use the same global variable. So here I print, till here it is also okay. It says 47 Swarup. But in the last example, when we changed to Ali and random number, when we went back, we got the original value. Now here, when I come back, you're not going to get the original value. You're going to get the changed one. Swarup's lucky number is 47. So if you want to assign a value to a global variable inside a function, to a global variable inside a function, you should declare them by using keyword global. If you don't do that, like what we have done in F4, we have not declared that variable as global inside function F4. Then when you try and assign a value to a variable, a new local variable gets created. And I'm going to tell the interpreter, please don't create a new local variable. Use the same one that was already defined. So use this keyword called as global. So global variable lets you assign a value to a global variable inside a function. Make a note of it. Global, the keyword global lets you assign a value to a global variable inside a function. Global, keyword global is used to declare the variables, global variables inside a function. Global keyword, I used to declare the global variables inside a function. Declare, now define, declare. It doesn't create a variable, it just informs the function that this is not a new local variable. It is the same global variable that we are trying to access it over here. So it's just a declaration, just a piece of information that we're giving to the compiler, the function. So telling the function, please don't create a new variable, use the same one that is already defined. So I put in other words. If we want to alter the value of a global variable inside the function, we should declare that variable with keyword global inside the function. Have you all understood this? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Everybody? Actually, that was my agenda for today. Yeah, Miss समझ में आना चाहिए. I'm just sharing all the 3 files that we have just now taken the examples of. There is something more that we need to discuss. Something called the concept that we have just now seen is a concept of binding that we have said. One small part remains. If I wanted to create a global variable inside a function, how do we do that? That is something that I'll take up tomorrow when we meet. Otherwise, we are done with global variables. Tomorrow when we meet, we'll talk about the slightly more about global variables, and we'll then go ahead with what Ashish is fond of. A recursive function is what we look into tomorrow. But before I do that, I want you to go through the codes that we have discussed today. The global, local, that was slightly confusing. Take some time out, go through it, see the behavior. If there are any questions, ask me before we start with the next topic, that is recursion tomorrow. So thank you all for the session today. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.